afternoon, Your Excellencies, Honourable Ministers, Members of Parliament and Government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 6th Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council Plenary. My name is Darren Klinck. I'm the President of Arras Minerals, a Canadian-based minerals exploration and development company that is 100% focused in Kazakhstan on critical minerals, specifically copper. Additionally, I also serve as the Honorary Consul for the Republic of Kazakhstan and British Columbia. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here today. We have many guests attending from Kazakhstan and Canada, as well as many places in between, and it's great to see such a strong interest in continuing to build and strengthen trade and investment, as well as political and cultural ties between our two nations. The main goal of the KCBC is to promote cooperation, trade, and investment between companies and organizations from Kazakhstan and Canada. Today we will hear from a range of speakers and special guests deeply invested and active in Kazakhstan-Canadian business, but more importantly, we'll learn of some of the many opportunities for growth and expansion in these areas between our two nations that have so many similarities and potential synergies to further explore for the benefit of both countries. Before we commence with the official program here this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge a few groups that have been instrumental in making today happen. Our co-chairs for KCBC, Cameco and Kazatomprom. We are fortunate to have both Meirzhan Yussupov, the CEO of Kazatomprom, as well as Tim Gitzel here from Cameco, and we'll hear from them later today. Welcome, gentlemen. The organizer of the KCBC is the Canada-Eurasia Chamber of Commerce, and Vera and her team here. So thank you very much to Vera and all the volunteers that have made that happen here this afternoon. Thank you to CECC. The sponsors for KCBC are Teck Resources, one of Canada's largest mining companies, and has recently announced a partner with Arras Minerals, focusing on exploration for critical minerals in Pavlodar province in Kazakhstan. The Saskatchewan Industrial and Mining Suppliers Association, SIMSA. SIMSA is a non-profit organization representing more than 340 Saskatchewan-based supplier members who provide goods and services to the industrial, mining, and energy sectors. As well as Tech Garden, established in 2014 by the government of Kazakhstan. Tech Garden is located in Almaty, and it serves as an innovation park, attracting and supporting international domestic companies focused on R&D and information technology, innovation, and artificial intelligence. I also want to acknowledge the invaluable support of both the embassies of the Republic of Kazakhstan here in Ottawa, as well as the Canadian Embassy in Astana, for all of their continued support and assistance on this. So thank you very much to the co-chairs, the sponsors, and the organizers. In just a moment, I will be calling on our first speaker to provide welcome remarks on behalf of the Government of Canada, Minister of International Development, the Honourable Ahmed Hussen. Mr. Hussen was first elected in 2015 to represent the riding of York South-Weston. He was previously served as Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, as well as Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, and Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Minister Hussen immigrated to Canada in 1993 and settled in Toronto. He began his career in public service after high school, working with the Hamilton Wentworth Social Services Department, and serving as the national president for the Canadian Somali Congress. Minister Hussen worked with national and regional authorities to advocate on important issues in Canada of Somali heritage, strengthening civic engagement and integration. Mr. Hussen holds a law degree from the University of Ottawa, previously served as the national president for the Canadian Somali Congress, and he was awarded the Queen Elizabeth II Golden Jubilee Medal for his leadership efforts in the Regent Park community in Toronto. Please welcome Minister Hussen to say a few words.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I want to really thank the organizers of the 6th Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council plenary session, and to really appreciate their efforts to bring our two countries closer, both in terms of business as well as culture and diplomatic ties. I want to give a special welcome to the Honourable Kanat Sharlapaev, Minister of Industry and Construction of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, and welcome to Canada. I also want to highlight the presence of the Ambassador of the Republic of Kazakhstan to Canada, and thank him for his efforts to really work hard to bring the two countries closer and find more and more ways for us to collaborate together. I want to, of course, recognize business leaders, members of the diplomatic corps, and fellow representatives. It gives me great pleasure to be here because I have had the opportunity to really learn a lot from the ambassador about the potential of Kazakhstan to Canada, and in terms of what we can do together in value-added agriculture, in mining, and in diplomacy, and stronger people-to-people ties. We're a trading nation, and as a trading nation, we're always looking to expand our access into other markets and to develop relationships that lead to win-win trade and investment between Canada and a country like Kazakhstan. And as an upper middle income country that is growing in leaps and bounds, Kazakhstan and the Kazakhstan economy and the business environment represents for Canadian small, medium and large enterprises an incredible opportunity to engage in investment that will lead to win-win trade and investment opportunities for both Kazakhstan and Canadian companies. The Minister and I discussed the potential for further joint ventures and straight investments from Canada into Kazakhstan. I was very pleased to see the diversity of your economy and the openness to investment and the changes that you've made to encourage more and more investors into your country. I want to highlight the importance of trade diversification. We've been, as a government, really emphasizing that we need to diversify our trading relations around the world so that we can have more shock absorbers in our trading supply chains and patterns. And Kazakhstan represents an opportunity for us beyond the resources, and both natural resources and human resources. It also represents a business-friendly environment and government. And the changes you've made are very encouraging because it shows us that there's a way to combine both the presence of the natural resources and the incredible talent within the human resources of Kazakh people with the overall ecosystem of business-friendly investor protection. So I want to thank you for your leadership in that regard. And I want to assure you that Canadian businesses are supported by our government to pursue those markets. And we have tools in place, and people in place, and offices in place to be able to ensure that as Canadian businesses take that leap of faith into countries like Kazakhstan, that we will be there for them to support them so that it can turn out into a pleasant experience and an opportunity for growth, both for Canada and for Kazakhstan. So once again, welcome. Thank you for your time here. It is vital that we have these high-level official exchanges. I look forward to visiting your beautiful country, and I want to really assure you that Canadian small, medium, and large businesses punch above our weight in terms of our opportunity to really add that value added and productivity to your country, and we're very much looking forward to deeper economic relations, people-to-people ties, and stronger diplomatic relations between our countries. Thank you so much. Sure.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'll now call on the Honourable Kanat Sharlapaev, the Minister of Industry and Construction of the Republic of Kazakhstan. But before I do, just a few words about the Minister. So Minister Kanat Sharlapaev was born in 1981 and is an accomplished leader with a strong academic background, including degrees from the Serré Socioeconomic University and Cranfield School of Management. With over a decade of experience in finance and strategic planning across various international institutions, he now serves as the Minister of Industry and Construction in Kazakhstan. He was appointed in 2023 and then reaffirmed last month in 2024. His impressive career trajectory demonstrates his expertise in financial management, strategic analysis, and leadership. And as Minister of Industry and Construction of the Republic of Kazakhstan, please join me in welcoming Minister Sharlapaev.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guest, Honourable Minister Ahmed Hussen, it's a great pleasure to speak in front of you today. I think for us, Canada represents the most natural partnership in many ways. Our economies are driven by very, very similar industries, and our cooperation goes a very long time back. And I think the fact that today we'll hear CEOs of Cameco and Kazatomprom speaking is one of the best examples of that cooperation. And Canada, like Honourable Minister rightly said, punches above its weight in investments. $6 billion of FDI to Kazakhstan over the years. It's a very big number. There's over 150 Canadian companies, all with Canadian participation, operating in Kazakhstan. And we cooperate in the key sectors that are key for the economy, both in Kazakhstan and in Canada. And in some of the key sectors, we would like to see more cooperation. We see Canadian companies being very active in mining. We see a lot of people working in oil and gas. I think Canada and Kazakhstan collectively contribute more to the global energy security than a lot of other countries because of our cooperation in uranium. I think it's a very important aspect of what we do together. And where we would like probably see more cooperation is in agriculture, where Canada certainly punches above its weight, and it is a food security powerhouse that not only impacts the North American region but also globally. And Kazakhstan's been a great contributor to the food security in the Central Asian region. And if you go to Uzbekistan or Tajikistan, every second bread is probably made out of wheat that's grown in Kazakhstan. But we would like to see more of that cooperation and bring in a modern agricultural technique to Kazakhstan from Canada would be very helpful. So I think we should look forward to that cooperation. Today, I have to honestly say I'm very impressed by what PDAC is. So like PDAC is essentially who is who of the mining world, and everybody's here. And I had a great pleasure of meeting Canadian junior companies, Canadian mid-sized companies, and large Canadian companies, and I think they share my excitement about mining sector in Kazakhstan. And we are very excited. Kazakhstan done really well in 2023. We've opened more than 1.5 million square kilometers of territory for geological exploration. We heavily invested into digitization of process of obtaining exploration licenses, and we try to be as open to the investors in the mining sector as we can, and it pays off. It started to pay off. The private investment into geology in Kazakhstan just reached a benchmark number of $250 million, and I don't think it will stop there. It will grow more. And for us, it's a very important part of the economy, representing almost 7% of the GDP. 220,000 people work in the mining industry in Kazakhstan. And for us, expertise and investment in that area is extremely important. And what is very, very good to hear, and that Canadian companies, either directly or through investments into junior companies, are actively participating. Names like Barrick Gold, they've just incorporated an embassy in Kazakhstan. Tech Resources is working in Kazakhstan through Arras, right? We have Rio Tinto has been exploring in Kazakhstan for a number of years, and I think for us it's a great opportunity that both junior miners and large companies are investing in the mining sector. And I think Kazakhstan is in that sense is a representative of a good opportunity because it matches two things. There are places in the world where you can find copper, iron ore, other minerals, but matching it with a high-quality jurisdiction is difficult. Matching it with a jurisdiction that is friendly to investors is very difficult. And I think because of the time we live in, because how big demand is for critical materials, how much the energy transition requires from the resource standpoint, we're in the right position because we're right jurisdiction with the right geology. And I think that is why interest of many Canadian companies and the mining companies from all over the world is justified in Kazakhstan. And we do well. We've grown over 5% last year in the overall economy. We're planning to grow 6% this year. And that is with understanding that the geopolitics is challenging, the logistical disruption are not small, but we very comfortably and with a lot of certainty looking into the future. And for me, I think the fact that today we have this very open political dialogue between Canada and Kazakhstan, and the fact that we have a very open dialogue at the business level is indicative, I think, of many good things to come. And I'd like to thank you all for a very active participation. And I'd like especially thank my colleague, Honourable Minister, for the dialogue that we have. And I wish you a very successful Business Council today. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. So we're now going to move on to a keynote fireside discussion. We're very fortunate to have two very interesting speakers here with us today. And I'm going to, while they're getting the fire stoked and the wood brought in for this fireside discussion, I'm going to ask Dale Austin, Head of Government Relations at Cameco, to come up and introduce the speakers.
Darren, thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's going to take another second here to get mic'd up, and then we'll get right underway. Anywhere you like, Tim. It's fine.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dale Austin. I'm the Head of Government Relations with Cameco Corporation. Very pleased to be here today to try to guide this fireside chat with two gentlemen who produce the majority of the world's supply of uranium. So to my immediate left, Mr. Tim Gitzel, President and CEO of Cameco Corporation, co-chair of the KCBC, and let me make sure I get this correct, Honorary Consul to the Republic of Kazakhstan to Saskatchewan. Tim, thanks for being here today. And next to Tim, Mr. Meirzhan Yussupov, CEO of Kazatomprom, and also the KCBC co-chair. So, gentlemen, let's ease into this a little bit. I'll give you a couple of minutes to talk about your companies and the state of the uranium supply and the relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan and your two countries. So, Tim, over to you.
Yeah, well, thanks, and thanks to everybody. Good to see a lot of friends that haven't seen maybe since last time we had the KCBC, and it's always a pleasure to catch up. I think I was talking to Meirzhan. It's probably 6 years or so, maybe 7, that we've had the KCBC. We started in a smaller format, and it's grown to this, and it's just going to continue to grow every year. So thank you for joining. Let me give you a little bit of background from my point of view on our relationship with Kazakhstan, and I just want to thank the two ministers who are here today. Business to business, we do business to business. We've been doing it for a long time, but having the governments involved and Minister Sharlapaev, I haven't known him for more than 24 hours. It's like we've known each other for 10 years. And you see the quality of the man when he stands up there and can talk like that, about Kazakhstan. I can tell you that's the best advertisement that you can get for companies coming into Kazakhstan to do business. And we've been doing it, and the ambassadors there as well. And ambassador, don't tell anybody, but you just keep getting better and better ambassadors. And we don't tell the last guys because we like them a lot too. But it's the quality of the people is outstanding. So I first went to Kazakhstan in 1993, and so you say, well, Tim, you were just a baby, and well, okay. But 1993, 2 years after independence, and we went there looking for uranium, for minerals, and it was at a time when the country probably was looking for some capital to invest in the country and maybe some technology and some people, and we brought that, and of course Kazakhstan has just outstanding resources, and it's been a relationship since then. We've been there. We've together with Meirzhan, we've built up what we call JV, Joint Venture Inkai. It's one of the best mines in the world, top producing mines in the world. Our relationship with Kazakhstan has been just outstanding. It's a country that I encourage any of you, if you're thinking about doing business there, do it. Because as the minister said, you need not only resources, but you need the right climate to do your business. And I can tell you, we have not for a minute, not even for 1 minute, hesitated to... I should be careful, Margaret Scott's here. She was a former ambassador. Sorry about that.
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. So, no, it's just been a great experience for us. Our business, Cameco, as you know, obviously in the uranium mining space, we're second to this gentleman over here at his company, largest producer in the world, about 45% of the production in the world. We provide maybe 25, so you can see between us, we have a decent share of the market, in a market that today nuclear is really getting another life in the world. People are looking at their energy options around the world. They want clean, sustainable, affordable energy that runs 24 hours a day, and they're looking to nuclear. And so there is no nuclear without the uranium to feed those nuclear plants. And so we think we're in a good space. Our company's heavily invested in uranium, but also down the fuel cycle and conversion. We're working on enrichment, and then we just bought a company called Westinghouse. And so, yeah, we hope we're in the right space, and we are just delighted to be partners with Meirzhan and the Kazatomprom team. As I say, we've been working together for 25 years, and it's been just a very healthy and fruitful relationship.
Thanks for that, Tim. Mr. Yussupov.
Thank you, Liam. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for participation, especially organizers for organizing such an important event. And as Tim put it, it's sixth meeting or sixth council, but we have been cooperating with Cameco for many years. As for Kazatomprom, we are the, Tim put it, largest producer in the world. We employ more than 20,000 people in Kazakhstan, and we have 14 mining companies, and we have 12 of them are JVs with grand names in the world in the uranium space. We did IPO in 2018, and 25% is free float, 75% is owned by the government through the Samur Kazina, which is the holding company. And so far we have been enjoying this, I would say, mutually beneficial cooperation with our partners, our friends. And I've been to mines in Saskatchewan. I've been to Blind River. I've been to Port Hope, and then that was a nice experience seeing all those mines and sites that Cameco has, and look forward for continuation of such fruitful and beneficial cooperation with our partners.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Changing gears a little bit now from that, I'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about energy security it's really risen to the top of the list for both countries and companies. Tim, if you wouldn't mind, could you talk a little bit about the importance of energy security today around the world and the impact that it's had on Cameco and Cameco's business?
Yeah, the deal is, you know, the whole energy security piece, I mean, it's always been out there, but it ebbs and flows. So if you've been paying attention over the last probably 10 years, climate change was the big driver. Climate change, you know, we heard about climate change, climate crisis, climate catastrophe, the race to net zero, Greta Thunberg, all of that stuff. That was really driving energy and people looking to move away from fossil fuel energy and to other sources. Well, you've got wind and solar, and they're playing a big part, but they're intermittent. So people started looking again at the nuclear file and saying, well, we better have another look at this and see, you know, no CO2 emissions. There's 442 reactors around the world. Should we be doing more? So we could feel the tailwinds coming really for nuclear and for our business over the last 2 or 3 years. But then, of course, the Ukraine situation happened. And that really changed the channel, if you like, to energy security. Energy security surpassed all of the climate pieces. They're still there. They're still important. But countries started looking and saying, where's our energy coming from? Are we self-sufficient? What if somebody shuts off our supply chain? What are we going to do? And we saw it happen. And we saw what happened to electricity prices. And so people started looking again at nuclear power. And so we were in Dubai just before Christmas at COP28. And you know, you had 28 countries sign on to pledge to triple nuclear power. You think about that. There's 400 reactors. That's 800 more reactors in the next 25 years. So you say, well, that's nuts. Maybe it's only double. That's 400 new reactors. Okay, well, we'll take that. From a fuel supply, Meirzhan and I were just kind of drooling. We were sweating. We were sweating. We said, are we going to have enough fuel for that? So you know, energy security now, it's every country is looking. And then you say, as the minister said, then you look to where do you want to work and with who? Who are your friends? Who can you rely on? We use the word friend shoring to some extent. Which countries do you want to rely on? And I can tell you, from Cameco's point of view, Kazakhstan is going to be a partner of ours for a long time. It's worked a long time, and we have a huge responsibility to provide that nuclear fuel, that uranium that's going to fuel. And it's not just going to be only nuclear. We need. I'm of the view it's all of the above that we're going to need. With the electricity and energy demand, the way it's going up, we're going to need all of the above, and we'll transition over time.
Thanks for that, Tim. Mr. Yussupov, on a similar theme, what is Kazatomprom's approach to contributing to the global energy security agenda?
Well, we as Kazatomprom, we position ourselves as a reliable supplier of nuclear fuel to the utilities, to the world. So that's why we stick to that strategy. And as Tim put it, energy security is at this moment becoming an important topic. So everyone wants to secure supply of nuclear fuel, and that's why we say that we are there to provide the nuclear fuel that the world needs, and at the same time we understand that if we are serious about energy transition, there is a need for decent amount of nuclear in the mix in the energy mix. So that's why we see that there is an increase in demand for nuclear going forward, and that's why we, as I said, position ourselves as a reliable supplier, and we are working on this. Of course, lately there has been, in the media, there was a lot of talk about the supply chain disruptions, plus there are also other factors that may, to some extent, maybe affect the levels of production, but you say that Kazatomprom as well as Cameco are working to meet that demand that comes from the utilities, from the world.
Even up to the tripling that Mr. Gitzel just described?
Well, there is a structural deficit. Everyone should understand this. And in terms of tripling, we know this. We say that we'll be working on this, but everything has its limitations. There's like natural limitations. So that's it.
Fantastic. This is the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council, so we'll switch gears again and talk a little bit about the publicly traded world that both of your companies operate in, and particularly some interesting aspects, at least I think interesting aspects of that. And Mr. Gitzel, the environmental, social, and governance ESG, concerns that concerns is the right word, that the interest that investors have in ESG elements of uranium mining and the nuclear fuel cycle. How's Cameco meeting those expectations, and how have your interactions with investors changed over the last number of years as ESG interests are starting to rise?
Yeah. I've been doing this gig for a long time. Some would say too long, but a long time. And 5 years ago, we probably didn't talk that much about ESG. Those letters put together wouldn't mean much. I can tell you now, as a publicly traded company, and Meirzhan's got the same investors group that we trade on New York and Toronto, and they trade as well, same investors. They want to know not just what you do and how much money you make, but how you do it. How you do it. Are you looking after the E's, environment? Are you looking after the environment? And so we have to be very, very transparent in that regard. And some people, I remember them saying, well, you can go to Kazakhstan and it's easier. No, I can tell you it's not. It's the standards have to be the same. The world's global. Everybody has a telephone that you can get on Google, and you can see everything we do. Everything we do is transparent, whether it's in Saskatchewan, whether it's in Ontario, whether it's in Kazakhstan. So we can't operate differently in different jurisdictions. So the jurisdictions and the standards are the same on the E side. S is the social side, and for us, we spend a lot of time hiring locally. We're the largest industrial employer of Indigenous people in Canada. So 51 or 52% of our workforce in Saskatchewan are Indigenous people that live around our mine sites. We train them. We give them education, and then they work for us, and our relations with them, we never have a problem, never. And all of our contractors now, I think 90% of them are Indigenous-owned contractors. I think we spent about $5 billion in the last 10 to 15 years. So you include people in your operations, and it's the right thing to do. It's engaging and involving the communities around you. And then governance, of course, we have a board of directors. We're closely monitored, the stock exchanges watch us. So yeah, we have to report out all the time. Now, when we go to investor meetings, I was in one we go to the same, we chase each other around the world. There was a big BMO, Bank of Montreal investor conference in Florida last week that we were at. So all of the investors, the big money from around the world that invest in us, they often bring an ESG person to ask exactly that, not what's your strategy, how much money might you make, what's the pricing rate. It's how are you treating the local people, what's your diversity and inclusion strategy in your company, how's your environmental protection, what's your safety performance, and all of those things. So all of those things, we're under a microscope every day on those, and we take them very seriously.
Fantastic. Mr. Yussupov, while Mr. Gitzel is chasing you around the world at investor conferences, can you take a couple of minutes and speak to the group about how Kazatomprom has gone through relationships as a publicly traded company? You mentioned earlier your IPO, so can you explain a little bit about how that has gone?
Sure. In terms of IPO, yeah, we went public. That was actually the government program of privatization. So starting from 2015, we had that special program of privatizing big assets that Samuel Kazina has. So we were one of those companies that went public, and actually government is working on this, and still we last week or the week before last week, Arras, our airways company, that national airways company, it was also IPO, and then we have still other companies in the line. So the government is trying to privatize or decrease the level of the government involvement in the economy. So and this is actually done to increase the transparency that comes with the status of public company. And also one of the purpose of privatizing all those companies is increase the corporate governance levels in those companies. So these are the actions that government follows, and actually when, as our minister put it, when we are trying to be more attractive in terms of investment climate, so we are taking some certain steps, and then all those steps are taken in terms of or for the increase of corporate governance levels, plus decrease the privatization and enhancing the investment climate in Kazakhstan. So we went public in 2018. Since then, we have dramatically increased the transparency levels. We have regular reporting dates that we have never done before. So it's like on quarterly basis we issue some certain reports on our operational data. Plus, as Tim put it, we also talk to investors, and they do ask about ESG. They're concerned about environmental and social and governance aspects, and we also show them and explain them what we are doing in the region, how we employ the local population, how we treat the mines after, or how we're going to treat the mines after we have used them, and then all those liquidation works that should follow. So we say that we are working on this and putting a lot of efforts to explain to investors that we are behaving as a regular or a company that complies with best international practice. So that, of course, being public is puts a lot of pushes you a little bit more to do in terms of transparency, in terms of complying with all these rules. But yeah, we're trying, and we at least getting positive feedback from the investors.
Fantastic. We heard from the minister earlier about the investment climate in Kazakhstan. It sounds like that it's a very strong investment climate, and that Canadian companies should give serious consideration to connecting with the minister and with Kazatomprom and others to invest in the country. Would you agree with that?
Yes, of course. And actually, I was CEO for Kazakh Invest, which is the investment promotion agency, and so our the government really we want to increase or enhance our investment climate in Kazakhstan, and the government is trying to do so. Maybe sometimes it's not seen right away after we take steps, but I mean there are enormous efforts on the side of the government, on the side of the national companies to enhance, and then of course I don't say we don't. I mean it's like blue sky scenario, so that we always have some problems, but at least there are efforts on our side to enhance, to increase, and then in terms of legislation, there is always push from the government side to ease the legislation for international investors, to enhance the standards, and then so that our investors that are coming to Kazakhstan feel secure. So we have that security of investors, kind of great, doing business great. So in Kazakhstan, so we actually that was the kind of benchmark for us. So we have been working on this. So basically, yeah, the government and the national companies trying to, at least we are trying to do something and to enhance that climate. But when we say that we need international investors and investors from Canada, investors from other parts of the world, we really mean it, and then we are open to take further steps so that if there are some issues or problems, there are specific government agencies that are ready to look after that issue or problem. I should stop here.
Oh, that's a fantastic answer. Thank you very much. One last full topic before we come to the end. And Mr. Gitzel, you mentioned in your opening remarks that despite the fact that energy security has risen to the top of the pile, this race to net zero remains a policy priority around the world for lots of the reasons that you described. During the COP28 meeting that you referenced, Cameco signed on to the net zero nuclear initiative. So first I'll ask you to talk a little bit about what that is and what it means. And then secondly, as a company, Cameco agreed to a target or a plan to achieve a 30% reduction in corporate emissions by 2030. And if you could just spend some time talking about what that might mean for Cameco and some of the things that the company is looking at to try and achieve those objectives.
Yeah, so first on the nuclear net zero piece, I mean, that's a bunch of companies got together and said, what are we going to do to help, this whole COP piece, the Paris Agreement, we're going to try and limit the temperature increase to 1.5. You can talk about it all day, but someone's got to do something about it. So we got together in the nuclear industry in Dubai and said, you know what, we're going to push nuclear power as part of the solution going forward. And we got, as I say, all of these countries, and these were leaders of the countries, prime ministers, presidents, signed on to this commitment that we move forward, and companies as well. And so, that leads us now to say, how are we going to fuel? If we do that, what are we going to do about it, and how are we going to fuel? So we're certainly looking at what we as Cameco can do to participate in that. I get invited, I know Meirzhan does as well. We could be speaking going next week, 2 weeks from now to Brussels. There's 20 different countries coming together, the leaders, the prime ministers of these countries, to talk about nuclear for a day. And I've been asked to speak on fuel, and will there be enough fuel? I mean, that wasn't a question 2 years ago. There was so much we didn't know what to do with it. And now that now that there's growth in the industry, and we've had great support from the government of Canada. They've been standing behind us, even as late as last week. Minister Wilkinson, who's our natural resources minister, stepped up with some funding for some of the nuclear plants, new ones in Canada. Bruce Powell is going to build some new ones. We're going to have the first SMR, maybe in the world, minister at Darlington here in Ontario. If you look, if you count the lights in here, if there's 10 lights, 6 of them are powered by nuclear right here in this room. That's 60%, a little bit more, nuclear powered. The cleanest area you'll find probably in the world right here in this province. And we used to have brownout days where they'd say, please turn your dishwasher off or turn one. Not anymore, because the Bruce Power and they're building more. So we're trying to lead by example in Canada, and we want to be there with the fuel and heavy responsibility on my friend Meirzhan over here and us in the field. And so we'll do that. So what are we doing ourselves to lower our emissions? Well, our mindset, we're not big emitters to start out with, and to be honest, with the uranium we provide around the world, it reduces CO2 emissions by millions of tons. So, but we don't count that somebody else can count that. We're looking in our own operations and at our mine sites. And our biggest use is, so in one of our mines today, Cigar Lake, McArthur River, it's minus 40 C today. So guess what? We use a lot of propane to heat the mine and heat the buildings and diesel. So we're looking at can we electrify our fleet? Can we do that? Can we heat our tanks so that there's not so much heat loss that we have to use that? Our electricity in Saskatchewan, again, 80% fossil fuel. We still use about 40% coal-fired and about 40% natural gas, and then there's some wind and some hydro and a little bit of solar. So we don't control the electricity system in Saskatchewan. So either Sask Power, and they're planning to build some new nuclear over time, which will reduce the fossil fuels, or we put in a micro reactor, I don't know, maybe at a mine site, and so we're looking at that to see the economics of that as well. So we're trying to do our share, our part, like everyone else. If everyone pitches in, and we have a chance of getting there.
Fantastic, thank you. Mr. Yussupov, similar question to you. As I understand it, let me just make sure that I get the numbers right here, that Kazakhstan set a target of achieving carbon neutrality by 2060. Interested in how Kazatomprom is looking to contributing to the achievement of that target.
Well, in terms of net zero or carbon neutrality by 2060, we'll strictly follow this rule, and then but we, as I said, when we got public, and then we embarked on this ESAP, Environmental Social Action Plan, and then working on this, we're working on and having plans to decrease the carbon footprint in our mines. But the method that we mine uranium in Kazakhstan is ISR, in situ recovery. So it's there isn't much carbon footprint in this, but still we are working on this, because actually that method was recognized by International Atomic Energy Agency as the lowest, that has been the lowest footprint on the environment. So it's environmentally friendly method of mining the uranium, and at the same time we have such plans to decrease the or optimize the electricity usage in those in our mines. So plus we don't have much. Sometimes, in some mines we use diesel for heating, but we are switching to solar systems, that's solar heating systems. So we have that target of decreasing by 50% our footprint, but right now it might be 2035 or 2040, but it depends. And so there are some work that we are doing, but again, as I said, we don't have that much footprint in terms of environmental footprint in terms of our companies.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we have come to the end of our time on this fireside chat that apparently they needed in Cigar Lake today. But before we adjourn, wouldn't mind each of you one last minute for some closing remarks, and Mr. Yussupov, I'll start with you.
Well, again, just for closing remarks, I would like to first of all thank organizers for such an important event, and then happens once in 2 years, but it's a very important event, and so that brings together communities, bring business community from Kazakhstan, business community from Canada, plus government officials together to discuss potential areas of cooperation. So thank you for organizing, thank you for coming to this event, and as Kazatomprom we would be ready to work together with our friends and partners from Cameco to enhance or take forward this mutually beneficial cooperation between two countries. Thank you.
Mr. Gitzel.
I just want to thank again the two ministers for being here. You know, business to business is one thing, but having the government support and having the governments talking and cooperating together is a whole different level for us, and we're just grateful to both of you for supporting our business. And all of you in the room, I just want to say thanks. You know, we've been doing this for many, many years. If you're thinking about doing business in Kazakhstan, come and see me. I'll encourage you to do it. We've gone way past the should we do business. We've become close friends, and you know, I have to tell you, it's every time I go there, I see progress. The country is progressing, the people are progressing, and they're very welcoming, and we never take for granted that we are guests in that country, and we've always treated it like that, and the red carpet has been rolled out for us every time we've gone there. So if you're thinking about doing business in Kazakhstan, do it. Thank you.
Thank you.